So, I am recording this immediately after my last video, so that's why everything looks pretty much the same, except the positioning of the camera may not be exact. Um, that last video was to encourage you to write in Marianne Williamson. In this video, we're going to talk about what I'm reading this month. So this is an episode of Bookworm Bower. I had been meaning to do this since last month to show you the books or book that I am reading, not just what's on my shelf. I'll do an episode showing what's on my shelf a little later. Right now it's basically just a bunch of Stephen King, Dean Koontz, John Saul, horror stuff, because I love Halloween. I love scary stories. I like to write short scary stories, so that's what I'm reading right now. To that end, I have Full Throttle by Joe Hill, who is Stephen King's son. This is pretty cool so far. I liked this last story I read, and now, of course, I can't remember the last story I read, but I remember I liked it. Why is it not coming clear to me in my mind? It was after the carousel. Oh, yeah, it was kind of a fantasy. So I liked the story. The last one I read was kind of a fantasy where this bad guy gets his comeuppance in this fantasy world. It was kind of cool. I've also been going through the Lock and Key graphic novel series. This is very cool. Although the story does not, of course, follow the Netflix story very well, but there's some similarities. And I'm not sure I'm sold completely on the character design and art style, but it's a good story. I like the idea of keys that you can do stuff with. I think that's cool. I am still plowing through this, but I haven't worked on it for a couple of weeks, and I don't know if I'll get back to it. This is really hard for me to get through, but I might have shown that before. This one's bottom of the list. I'm hardly even doing anything with it. I put this in my bag because I am determined to read this. He actually talks about the Mind Palace, which is something that fascinates me. And this is my own personal copy I got from what we used to have over here at Adult Book Swap, where we would be able to. It isn't what it sounds like. It was made so that adults could come in with their books that they had that they wanted to swap, and then they could swap those books and get an equivalent amount of books off of the tables out of what other people had donated if they wanted. It was really cool. They had teen and they had adult. But because of COVID, we didn't have that this year. I don't know if they're going to do it again or not for a while. I missed that, but this is one that I think I got from that. And I am determined to get through, but it's also bottom of my list. This one I grabbed like a drowning person would grab at a chunk of wreckage so that he could, find some way to survive and breathe, because I want to find what it is I'm here to do. What is my own? What is my purpose? But Ken Robinson is pissing me off right now because he keeps just talking about all these guys and how they found their purpose, and it's just on and on and on and on, just showing examples of other people doing it. No practical help or advice on how to find my own element of purpose yet. I just have all these countless examples, and it just keeps going. I'm hoping he gets to the point here pretty soon, but I do like his humor. And of course, you might have saw this last episode of this Montauk Project. I need to get back into it and start reading it. I think this is a facility that R&K All Day YouTube explored, the abandoned radar base or whatever. I think that's Montauk, but I can't be sure. But it's really cool to hear this account of the things going on here. There's a lot more going on out there with the government, what they're doing than we know about, according to this guy. And then finally, my friend, I have a friend over in Switzerland, and Switzerland? Do I have that right? I better make sure I have it. Yes, it's Switzerland. Man, my memory. I have a friend over in Switzerland. We're always talking on Google Hangouts or whatever, but he was there for me when I renounced suicide. I went through all that process. He was there for me through my kind of mindset before I did that, the kind of stuff I'm dealing with after I did that. He has a very different way of looking at the world, approaching things. He's into alchemy, and he's into the idea of physical immortality. So he bought this book for me and sent it to me as a gift, which I very much appreciate. And I don't know that I'm sold on the idea of being physically immortal. I don't know about that. I did have some interest in ascension because Ramtha talks about that in The White Book. Talks about how he took his body with him, and I can imagine that if you could ascend, if you could take your physical body with you, and you could remanifest your physical body at any time or place you wanted, well, that's the ultimate freedom. You could go anywhere, anytime, be anything, or well, you'd still be in your same body, but I mean that would be really freaking cool. So that interests me. And a long time ago, I kind of thought of the idea: what would it be like to live for? I think it was a movie or something that I watched. And I thought about, how all these things I could learn and master. Because if you had all that time, you could learn and master a lot of stuff. And I love learning new things. I love having new experiences. So that aspect would intrigue me. And the ascension aspects intrigue me. But what really gets me on this book that I really like, that's what they look like, the couple there on the back. What I really like about it is the idea that it will help me to free myself from limitations and all these other things they're talking about. That really intrigues me. I like the idea of anything that can help me free myself from my limitations, and this book is responsible for me diving back into A Course in Miracles and actually getting some interesting tidbits out of my new foray into it. But they did something here that pisses me off. Well, doesn't really piss me off, bugs me. It really bugs me. She has a whole chapter, a couple of pages here talking about liberation breathing and how amazing this is and how all this stuff that it can do for you. And I'm like, yes, I want to learn that. I want to start doing that. And then you get over another page and a qualified practitioner can take you through the steps, blah, blah, blah. And you got to do this for an hour. And I'm not going to find a qualified liberation breathing practitioner in my area. I live in a fucking religious, spiritual, I guess would be a better word, black hole. I could throw a rock in any direction and hit a Christian church of some variety. We've got Jehovah's Witness, I think. We've got Seventh-day Adventists. We've got Baptists. We used to have Assembly of God. We've got I can't remember the name of the big, huge church. We got that. And we got, Nazarene and every other kind of Christian church in the world. But as far as any kind of a spiritual center, the nearest thing is miles and miles and miles away. 40 minutes away, an hour or so by bus. And it's Unity Church, and they don't do much there. They're the location of the church it's sad. It's out in the middle of nowhere. I don't even know that there's much people even active there doing it, especially now with the COVID. How am I going to find somebody to teach me this wonderful liberation breathing thing that's going to have so many benefits for me when A, I don't have any money, and B, I don't have any local teachers? So I will look a little bit on Google. Maybe I'll be blessed and I'll find somebody offering lessons and will be a practitioner and lead me through this process, because this liberation breathing rebirthing thing sounds awesome. But if that's how they're going to do this book, they're just going to introduce me to these topics because they're trying to get me to go and join their camp or something. I don't know. I don't know if I can recommend it yet. I need to read more. Maybe they'll get into some practical things that'll be helpful. Maybe they just couldn't teach liberation breathing through here. It might be like that other meditation technique that you really have to have a guide. I can't remember the name of it. I want to say it's deep meditation. But it's the one that one famous movie guy, he actually did that. The guy that wrote, he might have wrote Twin Peaks, he wrote some other stuff, but the guy that's behind all that, and I can't remember his name of life, he wrote a book that's actually kind of fascinating. He did that. So, but you have to have a qualified person. They have to help you with finding a word that you would say, and then you got to go. I know about the process of it, so maybe that's this too. It's similar. You have to have somebody guiding you. And I get that, but it's useless to me if I don't have anybody nearby that can teach me, or if I have somebody nearby that can teach me that will charge me money that I don't have. And if I have anybody nearby that will teach me that will charge me money I don't have, that's not a very good or qualified teacher. The quality of my experience so far, the quality of the kind of spiritual, not religious teachers in anywhere within 10, 20 miles of this location has not been very good. There's no gurus out here that I'm aware of. You know, there's no really good spiritual teachers at all. There's nobody. There's no Course in Miracles teachers. I think there's an ascended, no, not an ascended master. There's another one. There might be one of those up near Seattle area. It's a three-finger technique, the Silva method. I think there's a Silva teacher like way up north, about a 4 or 5 or 6 hour drive. That's kind of the area I live. It sucks, but that's where I am. I don't know what to say about that, but those are the books that I am reading right now. And to tie in with that, of course, I have to accept that I put myself here. I can't blame the area for being what the area is, because I put myself here. That ties in with this quote that I got. I want to share it with you. This is from A Course in Miracles. I think it's supposed to be Jesus speaking. It says, quote, "Needs arise only when you deprive yourself," end quote. And the more I thought about that, the more I thought, you know what? That is 100% absolute truth. I put myself in this area. I kept myself from having a relationship with a female. I've kept myself single and alone all these years. That's been my choice, my decision. You know, I choose to live here. I chose and selected this kind of living situation and circumstance. Yeah, I am responsible. I've created this experience that I'm in, and anything that I am lacking is something I've deprived myself of, and I agree with that 100%. I know that it's true. Question is, not only what have I deprived myself of so I can bring awareness to that, but the question is, how do I stop depriving myself of these things? One of the things that they talk about in that physical immortality is, I believe they call it the unconscious death urge. And I think a lot of this might stem from that. I think I see some truth to that idea, that we're all kind of wired to believe we have to die. We have a limited time on Earth. And it doesn't gel with the reality of things. I mean, the reality of the universe is abundance. You're born with everything you need when you start, and then only you get to choose what you actually have access to. So we all have this process of depriving ourselves and coming up short, and then experiencing less than desirable circumstances and situations. So I get it. I can see how it all ties together. I'm starting to see all the threads and how they all might come together. I don't know a solution as of yet. I will start with trying to find a liberation breathing teacher, and I hope that I'm wrong and I actually find one, a good one, a qualified one, and then if they do charge money, that I'm able to find some kind of income so that I can pay for that and get that experience. So that's it. That's all we have for this episode. I will see you guys in the next one, and I don't know if there'll be a straight blog episode anytime soon, but I figure these two will suffice to help keep that vlog channel open. I'm sure I have more things I can talk about, so we'll see what happens. Catch you guys later.